What's going on, everybody? Welcome, everyone, to the Best of, Worst of, the podcast where we take the bad with the good in the world of pop culture. My name is Jason, and joining me today, a man you know as Jesse, but only his closest friends know him as Colonel Mustard. My co-host, Jesse.
It's actually Admiral Honey Mustard.
Wow. When did the promotion happen?
Around 1942.
Ooh,
I was the sole. I got us out of World War II. Colonel Mustard is my. So we talked about Clue, and Clue was one of my recommendations in quarantine streams, and I rewatched some of it after that episode, and I think Martin Mull might be my favorite right now in that movie. He plays Colonel Mustard in the movie.
Okay. I haven't watched a minute of it since we recorded last week's episode, but I promise you at some point I will.
Well, I might get a chance to make you watch it today. We'll get into that in a bit.
Ooh.
But I don't know about you, J-Town. Can I call you J-Town?
Sure.
J-Town's your father.
Right. I'm more of J Hamlet. Wait.
J Township.
J-Town.
Anyway, so all the quarantining and social distancing has caused my household to sort of dip into our fund reserves for entertainment, which has led to a revival of sorts of board games in our household. So, apropos to that, and in somewhat of our quarantine theme that we've got going right now, today we're going to be talking BOWO board games. How are you guys a board game family? More like normally or during the quarantine, or how is that? What does that culture look like for you guys?
We are. So I married a very game family.
Okay.
We had board games growing up, but we weren't super big gamers. My wife's family is are very big into games. It is a late night summer tradition, a vacation tradition that you play mostly card games.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll bring the board games out and play. We've done a handful since we've been quarantined. But my kids are a little bit older, so we've done more card games this go round.
Yeah, card games are fun. And I thought about, as we get into this and we start talking our favorites, I was really going to include some card games, but I kept it to it has to include a board, which helped me narrow down my choices greatly. So we researched online for some lists like we normally do. Of course, with movies, it's easier because you got Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb and things like that. Same thing with albums. There's always these compilation lists, of Metallica's best albums, Queen's best albums. Hard to find anything consistent for board games. We looked at lists and fan polls, and there is no consistency. Some of the, honestly, you look at the bottom 5 on some of these fan polls on there's a website called boardgamegeek.com that's dedicated to board games. Obviously, I guess if you have that domain, you have to be. But there's just no consistency. What I found in looking at these lists and these polls is that the stuff that rated the highest were more obscure, and it was stuff that people were really passionate about and it doesn't have a big following, and the stuff that ranked really low was the stuff that's kind of mass appeal, your Monopolies and stuff like that. And so there appears to be, like anything, if you're a enthusiast for a particular type of thing, let's say you're a craft beer guy, then you probably don't like Bud Light, or right. So it seems like the board game world is the same way. So what we're going to do today is instead talk about a few of the most popular board games, give some info on those, and then just sort of talk about our favorites and our best and worst picks. So collect 200 as you pass go, because we're going to head towards. That's your key.
Fun facts.
There we go.
Sorry.
It's all right. There's body
language
involved when we are when we're in person. There's a body. I can point to you. I can literally throw it to you. It's hard to do that remotely. Yes. I've forgotten what you look like at this point.
Really? You'd be. I'm looking pretty haggard right now. I've got about 4 weeks growth of beard on my face.
So when you get haggard looking, you look like Hagrid.
Yes.
You're Hagrid. I tried to do a quarantine beard, Um, and I just looked like an old what's the magnetic Harry, like the game with like you pull the magnetic shavings on the guy. I looked like him after you like hit him on the table a couple times.
You know what? We're gonna have to do a Zoom meeting. Number one, just because I feel like that is everybody needs a Zoom meeting story from from this quarantine to tell their grandchildren.
Yeah.
Oh, back in my day, we all died of COVID-19, and those of us that didn't had Zoom meetings.
Right.
And you know,
right.
That's the stories we're going to be telling in the nursing home while we're quarantined from COVID-86.
Right.
But yeah.
The 19 stands for the year that it happened, right?
Okay, I guess. So I guess
the 19 is
COVID 56 then.
Yeah, 86. I would be 97 years old, which would make you 408. Now, see, the old jokes don't work if I make you like ancient. Like you have to be like 25 years older than me, not
right.
Not centuries.
Right.
Yeah, some sort of ageless, immortal creature. But anyway, so yeah, fun facts. Let's do it.
Let's do some fun facts.
So this first one is on the list, on many lists, is the best of all time, and others is the worst. But Monopoly has led to a lot of family fun, as it also has led to many Tarantino-style Mexican standoffs. Monopoly was first published by Parker Brothers in 1935. The game's origins go back to 1903. It was a game created by an anti-monopolist named Lizzie Maggie. It was two first names, unfortunate, in an effort to explain the single tax theory of Henry George, a sentence so boring it's prescribed as an alternative to Ambien. Yeah, so she had this version. And from what I read, it was a version of Monopoly, pretty similar to it. The rules expanded and changed obviously in the coming years, but she had like two sets of rules. She had one that promoted the idea of monopolies, like actual monopolies, and then she had like rules that were anti-monopoly. So this game, like the game, was sort of like a political, economic statement. Which I wonder how she would feel about the Moana monopoly and things now. Like her message has been diluted a bit, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, she would go on to self-publish the game in 1906, a few years after she created it, as The Landlord's Game.
So she sold it?
Now, she self-published it at first.
Okay. And then she sold it later and it changed names.
She did, yeah. So the game saw several variants through the 20s and 30s until it was shown to a guy named Charles Darrow, who, as you'll find out, is a bit of a villain. And with a name like that, he has to be. He was at a dinner party of a friend, and they busted out The Landlord's Game. And Charles Darrow was quite taken by it. They played through it a few times, which leads me to believe he was at their house for 76 hours. And he saw an opportunity and began distributing the game as Monopoly. Parker Brothers bought the rights from Darrow and then found out, oh, you didn't create this. So they went and found Lizzie Maggie and reportedly paid her $500 for the rights.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I wonder, okay, we're remote. Are you on your phone or on your laptop? I don't know how this setup is working.
On the laptop.
Okay. You can Google quicker than me. I'll read another fact here.
Okay.
See how much $500 in 1935 was now. What's the inflation there? I'm curious if she got ripped off. I mean, she did for what it ends up doing. Obviously, the game was sold to Hasbro, I think, when Hasbro bought Parker Brothers, and I think it was in the 90s. So Hasbro now owns Monopoly. The game is licensed in 103 countries and 37 languages, and has spawned...
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have to interrupt you.
Sorry.
What am I supposed to be Googling?
What is Judge Reinhold's real name? No.
Okay.
Well, no. $500 in 1935 would be how much today?
Okay.
There's got to be an inflation
On it.
calculator or something. So licensed in 103 countries, 37 languages for Monopoly, and it spawns upwards of 1,000, literally 1,000 different licensed editions. Simpsons Monopoly, X-Files Monopoly. I don't know, but and it's estimated, which this number seems low to me considering the game's been out for nearing 100 years, or actually over 100 years technically, but as we know it as Monopoly.
Okay.
250 million copies of Monopoly estimated to have been sold.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what's weird? That's a huge number, and yet somehow it seems low.
It seems really low, doesn't it? Like from 1935 like to now, but I mean, yeah.
How many people have lived, and every family has had one?
How many beach houses are out there that have one in their closet? You know?
That's right. It's 100% right. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right. $500 in 1935, based on the U.S. inflation rate, in 2020 would have the purchasing power of $9,440.80.
So Lizzie Maggie took.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the backstory of Monopoly. What are your thoughts on Monopoly? Are you pro or anti, or have a favorite edition?
I'm a purist.
Yeah.
Okay. I like my Monopoly in the original fashion.
So you play the landlord's game.
Yes. I always like to be the banker. I don't like anybody else being the banker or touching the money. I play the banker in every game that I play. So what's funny is my wife and I, when we first got married, we used to play Monopoly like in the evenings for fun, and then have games that would go multiple days.
Oh yeah.
And like playing the actual rules, which it took, like what I realized when we were kids, we didn't play the real rules. Like I still don't. Rules, if you land on something, you have to purchase it, and if you don't purchase it, the other players have an option to buy it.
Yeah, I don't play that way. There's a lot. I found that out. I think we had this conversation not too long ago. I think before we were doing the podcast, maybe. I don't remember. But we've had this conversation talking about Monopoly. As I recall, there was something that went slightly viral where everybody was like, wait a second, y'all know we're playing Monopoly wrong? And me and you talked about it. But there was some rule that, I think it might have been that rule, that I was like, yeah, I do not play like that at all.
Well, no. And then there was some other rule that you would put money in the middle, like some of the payments didn't go to the bank, they went to the middle, and then if you landed on free parking, you got it.
Yeah, I played that way.
Yeah, that's the way I played growing up.
Community chest. It's a community chest.
Sure, but it's not a rule.
Tomato.
Anyway, I'm not overjoyed if somebody said that we're going to play Monopoly. Like, I wouldn't be like super excited, but there's worse things.
Yeah.
Monopoly's fine.
Yeah. As far as it is I just don't quite get why it's caught on the way it has. Like, I was thinking through this of like, what is it about Monopoly? Maybe it's the time frame or something that came out, that just like kind of springboarded it appropriately, because it comes out like right during the Depression. And it's sort of, I guess it's supposed to be really kind of, at least maybe, again, I think this has been lost in translation and lost in the mix. But it seems like it was supposed to be kind of sort of satirically looking at these big greedy companies in some way and landlords and stuff. So maybe that was something that like created the right conditions. And then by the time we realized that we all liked this game about taxes.
It's kind of weird. If it came out today, the response would be the equivalent as what it was to Star Wars Episode 1, when we realized it was about taxes and trade law.
Trade disputes. And
yeah. And it's like, oh, really? Like there's more fun versions of this. I feel like we've all just resigned ourselves to, well, that's the game that everyone has. That's the thing you played once or twice with your grandma.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing where you can be a shoe or a race car or a top hat.
Yeah.
what's your go-to token?
Well, so here's the thing. So we have normal Monopoly. We have the new Monopoly that has an ATM, which is pretty nice, or it has like debit cards.
That's terrible.
It has debit cards. It's way more convenient than playing with all the cash.
I guess
swipe
so.
through your debit card. And then we have Christmas Story Monopoly. So, which I think I mentioned in one of our Christmas episodes. But we play Christmas Story Monopoly more than anything else. About the only time we play Monopoly is around Christmas time when we bust Christmas Story Monopoly out.
Okay.
We'll put the movie on. It's usually like around. We'll maybe do Christmas Eve when they're doing the marathon, and we'll do that. So in that, I usually go with the Fragile box, the Fragile box, which is a piece on there.
So that's the point. So the fun of the different editions is, right, we can create different tokens, and then we can just rename Boardwalk some famous thing from this movie, and then we can draw a pretty picture on it. I've never owned a non-traditional Monopoly.
Okay.
Now I sold a bunch. Remember, I was in the Bible bookstore business for many a year.
Yes.
We sold Bibleopoly. I'm not joking. I don't remember what the tokens were, but the locations were all like New Testament locations or Old Testament locations. So it'd be like, instead of Oriental Avenue, you would have Ephesus, Philippi, and Thessalonica.
I didn't know if it would come with tokens. I thought that might fall into idolatry or something.
No.
Okay. There's a lot of versions out there. We had a Beatles Monopoly, I think, at one point, where again, it's like, the Yellow Submarine's one of the tokens and stuff. But you're right, that's the fun part of it. Let's jump into the next one. Jason, tell us a little bit about our next very big famous board game.
A famous board game I've been playing way too much the last few weeks.
Ooh.
That would be Clue. Patented in 1944 by English musician Anthony Pratt. The game is known as Cluedo in the UK.
I didn't know that till fairly recently. Like within the last year, I would say 6 months to a year, I saw something about Cluedo, and I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's just Clue in the UK.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's apparently a play on the Latin term ludo, which means to play or something like that.
Oh, I don't know why I was thinking of Inspector Clouseau.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
I wonder if that's a play on that. Either way, Parker Brothers, which it's
coming
kind of
again.
Owns our lives when it comes to this,
Mm-hmm.
to games. Parker Brothers published it in the U.S. in 1949.
Yeah.
Good gracious, as Clue. Waddington's was the company that published it in the UK until Hasbro purchased both companies in the 90s. So Hasbro really has the monopoly on games, I would say.
Yeah, well, I think so.
Did you catch that Clue?
God. Please make it stop. Now, I was thinking about this. I think that is true, but I also think almost in the same way that streaming services has made TV relevant again. It used to always be you wanted to be, if you're an actor or an actress, you want to be in the movies. TV was your jumping off into movies. That was how you made it. It's not really the case anymore. There's prestige TV. Board games have, I think, gotten this way too, in that if you go to Target, they have kind of a section that's all your classic mass-produced board games, your Hungry Hippos and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then you have your more niche sort of board games and a lot of card games. But there's a lot of role-playing games and stuff. And, but I think we're kind of in this, I think board games have made a little bit of a comeback, but not necessarily your monopolies and stuff like that. I think it's more these really quirky, sort of independently made board games. Like
Cones of Dunshire?
Exactly. Yes. I love that. Was one of my favorite. That's a Parks and Rec reference. If you are a listener who's never watched the show, it's hilarious.
What's the one that's making fun of? I'm
Dungeons
blanking
and
on
Dragons, right?
No.
Is it not making fun of? Oh, is there another one?
I don't think so. I think it's Settlers of Catan. I
Oh,
think that's what it's making fun of, is Settlers
never
of
heard of
Catan.
that.
You've never heard of Settlers of Catan?
Not that I recall.
So it's interesting. I floated this to a friend of mine who said, "Well, if you're doing board games, you have to do Catan. It's the best one ever." And I was like, Catan? It's now called Catan, but it used to be called Settlers of Catan, according to Wikipedia.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a trading and building and whatever type of game.
Okay.
It's sold 22 million copies in 30 languages as of 2015. That's what Wikipedia says in the byline. But I was like, I don't have time to invest and play this game before I record the next podcast. But
Right. Yeah. There. Like I said, I've found in my research, it seems the games that people are the most passionate about kind of sound the most boring. Like, I know
yes,
people love Risk. I've never played it, and I've heard it's very boring.
look, I literally majored in college in the study of war and
Right.
history, and I find it boring. All you do is just amass troops on this side, and it's all literally, you just have to draw straws, and like, everybody wants to be the allies. Nobody wants to be the Axis powers. Nobody wants to be the bad guy.
Right.
Unless you play with that one random friend who's like, I'm going to be Germany and I will destroy you all.
Your German friends.
Yeah, that one German friend that I have. Flula.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Dieter, I had to stop playing with Dieter.
yeah, he
Because
takes it too seriously.
he does. It just, that, it wasn't a game. It was his life.
Yep.
But
back to Clue.
Back to Clue.
So there was a revamped and poorly received version that came out in 2008 called Clue: Discover the Secrets, that was criticized for needlessly changing rules and characters and has since been discontinued, making it sort of the Crystal Pepsi of the Clue franchise.
Interesting.
There's a ton of versions of Clue.
There's a ton of Clues.
Yeah.
I just
Office
Googled
Clue,
it.
Harry Potter
Yes.
Clue, Clue Jr. There's a lot of them out there.
Growing up, I had one called Clue Master Detective.
Mm.
It had a bigger game board with more rooms, including a carriage house and an observatory and all this other kind of stuff. And it had more players and more weapons. And I always thought that was the coolest version. My friends would come over and they'd be like, "Do you have that Master Detective version of Clue?" Like, they were just coming over wanting to play that awesome Clue. Anyway,
Your friends all your friends all have strange voices. I've noticed.
They
Your
do?
friend who like, hey, have you ever played Catan or Catan?
okay, it was a female that said that.
Well, you gave her that voice.
Okay, I'm
We
sorry.
have it recorded.
I was trying not to. All right, never mind. All right, moving
No,
on.
you're good.
No,
Yes.
200 million Clues have been sold across the board. You like Clue?
I do. I love Clue. I think it's fun. Different. So I feel differently than I do about Monopoly, whereas I think Monopoly succeeds in the other versions. For me, for Clue, I like it. I like the original boring Clue. I don't want new characters. I don't want it to be based on The Office and or Harry Potter or WWE. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you like the psychological manipulation? That's my favorite part of it.
I think that's what's missing in most games.
Right. When you ask for something you have in your hand,
Yes.
and you make everyone suspect that now that is the thing that is in there, and the misdirect is like,
yes, that's the best
one of my
part.
favorite things. Yeah,
For sure.
It's my favorite part.
All right, so let's talk one more big one, and then we'll jump in. We'll briefly talk about some of our best and worst, our picks, and then we've got a trivia game apropos to the topic this week that we've created, and we'll get into that in just a moment. So next, we're going to talk Candyland. Mostly I picked this one in our research because it was distributed not by Parker Brothers. I feel like someone else needed representation. Candyland has kind of a sweet backstory. It was created in 1948 by Eleanor Abbott, who was recovering from polio in the hospital, and she made Candyland as a game for the children of the hospital where she was recovering. and they also sort of served as the testers for the game to see, what kids' responses would be to it. So, on the advice of a friend, Abbott sold the game to Milton Bradley. There's our other big name in board games. In 1949, same year as Clue. Funny. Leading it to become Milton Bradley's top-selling game, and it made them the competitors that they would turn out to be against Parker Brothers, who at this point had the monopoly, literally the monopoly. The game Monopoly helped them be the board game Monopoly. So some changes over the years have been made with the times, such as they renamed Molasses Swamp to Chocolate Swamp.
Okay.
I love old candies and like old, like I got to talk to my grandma and she'd like tell me about like, oh yeah, we'd get rock candies and
Yes.
Doesn't sound. Oh, so what'd you get? I remember my 10th birthday. I got a sack of ribbon candy. Like, I got a PlayStation 2. Like,
right. Yeah, it's molasses sounds like a wonderful it sounds like a wonderful treat in the 1930s.
Right.
And now it sounds like, it's that weird ingredient in homemade cookies that you're not sure you have in the pantry.
And you're not sure that you like it when you
you're sure you don't like it. You're trying to figure out if applesauce will substitute for it in the recipe.
Right. Feverishly Googling.
Right.
So I did like this. Okay, so I thought this was interesting and funny. In 1996, Candyland was involved in one of the earliest domain disputes on the newly accessible World Wide Web, as there was an adult web content provider that had purchased the domain Candyland.com. So Hasbro at this point owned the game, as they had purchased everything, and the board game world, and they successfully blocked it using legal action. But yeah, Candyland the game versus Candyland the adult web content provider was an early internet domain battle. The game still sells around 1 million copies per year.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But I think every little kid gets one for like the 4th or 5th birthday.
It's
great
game.
And Shoots and Ladders, right? Candyland's great.
Candyland's better than Shoots and Ladders, I think. Hi-Ho Cheerios, okay, I guess.
I agree. Candyland's the best.
Candyland's so easy. The rules are super easy. It's all luck. There's no skill. It's it's I play it with my kids and we use different characters. Like my son likes to use a little Tyrannosaurus Rex and I'll use we'll use like different board game pieces instead of the little gingerbread men that come with it, and when we get to the different candy places, we'll pretend like we're eating. I'm like, oh, it's ice cream slopes, and I'll dive in and make my character eat some ice cream. And then I always ask the kids, like, where would you go if you go anywhere in Candyland? And they're like, oh, I go to Gumdrop Forest or whatever. And I always go, I wish they still had Molasses Swamp. They'd look at me with shame.
You are such a better dad than I. The thought never crossed my mind. It was usually like, all right, get out your gingerbread man and let's make this snappy, all right?
Well, that's the other good thing about the game. It takes 15 minutes to run through it.
That's exactly right.
And, the dark part of me likes the crippling disappointment that my son gets when he is almost about to win, and then he gets one of those pieces that brings you all the way back to the beginning. Because he gets so excited when he sees the card that will show like the popsicle on it, and that means you jump to the popsicle space, and he realizes that he's ahead of it, and he has to go back. And there's part of me, if I'm being honest, that kind of like, you're learning valuable lessons, son, and I get kind of happy.
Here you go. So what are that's lots of good fun facts about those 3 games that I'm sure everybody that's listened to this has played. What are some of your personal favorites or the best board games you think are out there?
Okay, so we'll get through these. I want to get to this game, so let's do this. I like Trivial Pursuit and trivia games as a whole. I love trivia. Trivial Pursuit's one of my favorites, and there's a lot of different versions of that, and I think that the different versions work really well for that one. I've got I think I have a Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit. I have a Beatles Trivial Pursuit. I love the classic. I like trivia a lot, so that's one of my tops. I like Scrabble as far as just like kind of boring board games go, I think Scrabble's great. I think Twister, if we're counting that, it's not really a board, but if we're going to count that, it's a mat. There's not a lot of mat games, so we'll count it here. Twister, I think, is fun, and it's also easy. I like games that are just really easy to follow and easy to explain, and it encourages involvement with other people in a way that's Monopoly really divides people in a violent and visceral way. I think my favorite board game of all time, as far as like little sort of kid games go, and like games I played growing up, games I play with my kids now, Don't Wake Daddy. I don't think gets enough. There's a lot of versions of this game, and that there's Crocodile Dentist and there's these other games. It's all about the surprise element of when's this thing. Pop the Pig is a big one, where like when is the thing going to pop up or get you or whatever. And it's again really easy rules, easy to follow. I always loved that one. I just got it for the kids, luckily right before all the quarantine stuff happened, and they love it. They literally scream every time the dad pops up. You have to like press the alarm clock and so many times depending on what space you land on, and you're trying to don't wake daddy. Okay. Which also I think would put them in a adult web content domain dispute.
That's
funny. What about you?
Some of my favorites. I love Sorry. Like it's a good old. Sorry's a good. Oh really? Sorry's fun because it does a similar thing. It's like a elevated version of Candyland. It teaches you the same lessons, like don't count your chickens before they hatch, because sorry, you might end up back at home and have to start all over again. There's that element. And then I love Trivial Pursuit. I've never once owned it. I've only played it 2 or 3 times. I can't get anybody to play with it. I'm going to go to a Goodwill and get Trivial Pursuit.
You'll get some of the pieces. You'll have to go around to several and put it all together.
Okay. I'm going to get me a Trivial Pursuit this year. What about, so those are our best of or our favorites? I mean, I would throw out Payday. I think that's a more fun money game than Monopoly. Okay. Also, I like the month element. It's a good one. Yeah. What about our least? We kind of lined up on some of our least favorite games out there.
I think we can all agree that Mousetrap is the worst board game.
Garbage. Absolute garbage.
You set up the pieces, which take you 20 minutes.
Yep.
You get it to do its thing, and then you take it apart and you put it back up. And that's been my entire experience with Mousetrap. I don't even know the rules. I've never played through it once ever. We have one. My kids want it once a quarter, maybe twice a year. Let's say we'll set it up. We'll run through it. And I'm like, okay, that was fun. Is
right. Mousetrap is Rube Goldberg's longest con. He's been playing this trick on us. Yes, he's laughing in his grave at the nonsense we're putting ourselves through to set this contraption up. I could never get certain parts of it to work.
Yeah, the rubber band break that comes with, and you end up using a hair tie or something, which doesn't work as well.
No, you're 100% right. It's garbage. Checkers is too boring.
Checkers, okay, so I have checkers and Operation in sort of a category of I'm terrible at them, so I hate them. I'm awful at checkers. I'm awful at Operation. I have shaky hands. But which ironically a real Operation might help. But I don't like checkers or Operation for those reasons. I'm going to put Twister in my least favorite here also because when I played it recently with my kids, I realized how bad my knees and back are. And
Just wait.
Yeah, I know it's not gonna get any better. And then I'm gonna go with Ouija for the opening portals to hell aspect.
Oh, yeah, that aspect of it really should put it as the worst of the worst.
Mousetrap's worse on that
list. It's the only one worse than Ouija.
Ouija opens the portal to hell, which is Mousetrap. Okay, so we figured, given the topic, we would play a game. So much like the podcast in general, we've haphazardly thrown something together. BOWO trivia.
We're going to
So
call it BOWO trivia. Yes.
Yes. Here's how it works. We will ask each other trivia questions that we have picked for this from different categories. We're just going to kind of go down. I have 12 questions, 3 from each category. I'm going to ask you the questions. You have a few seconds to answer. If you get it right, you get a point. If you don't, we move on to the next one. Whoever gets the most of their 12 wins.
Yes. All right. Do you have something to write with to kind of? I'm going to try to keep a master score here. Are we going like by category where you ask 3 and then I ask 3?
I will let you pick. I'll run through my 12 for you for each category, but I'll let you pick the first category. You have music, TV, movies, or miscellaneous.
I'm going to go movies.
Okay. I figured you would. All right, Jason, for your first point, hopefully. Who is the youngest person to ever win an Oscar?
My gut wants to say Tatum O'Neal for Paper Moon in 1974.
The correct answer is Tatum O'Neal. I'm not gonna let you ruin it because you nailed it. You're like, he's gonna go with Jodie Foster and something. She's the second youngest. Or no, Anna Paquin's second youngest. I think Jodie Foster is one of the youngest ever nominated. But that is exactly right. I also had a bonus point if you can name the movie and the year. So we'll give you.
I don't think I got the year.
You did. I don't think no, I have it. I researched it. You did. You got it exactly right.
Whoa.
It was almost like you were reading my notes. So you got 2 points. All right. Next. Do you want to stay in movies or switch to another category?
Let's just roll the dice on movies.
Okay. What is the highest grossing R-rated film of all time?
Joker.
Point goes to Jason. Killing it. All right. And finally, now admittedly, I picked some of these because I was worried in some other categories you wouldn't get them. So I wanted you to I picked stuff that I was like, he could know this. Versus just, I could have easily pulled out some like, who was the first person to ever win an Oscar?
Right. Yes.
Gertrude McGillicuddy. No. Who was the first actor to play Jack Ryan on screen? Bonus if you name the movie.
First actor. I'm going to go with Alec Baldwin in The Hunt for Red October, 1989.
Oh, you got it exactly right other than the year 1990. But
it was 90. Oh, man.
We'll give you that extra. They would have filmed it in 89, so we'll count it. I'm
going to give myself 1 point. I'm fine. Okay. I'm not giving myself
that category. You got 1 bonus point for me.
So that's 4.
You have 4 points from the first category. You want to go to miscellaneous, TV, or music?
Music.
Okay. First question. Yeah. Famed singer Katy Perry chose her stage name to avoid confusion with what established actress?
Kate Hudson.
Beautiful.
She was Katie Hudson. I used to sell her album at the Christian bookstore.
I thought about that after the fact, like after I'd already gotten my questions. It's like, wait, she was like a gospel, like church, like singer. Like anyway, okay. Here we go. What was Billy Joel's last top 10 hit on the U.S. charts?
Last top 10 hit?
Mm-hmm.
It's the song. Is it River of Dreams? It's
Circle gets the square. River of Dreams. Bonus if you can tell me the year.
Like 92?
93.
Oh!
You're killing it, man. You're doing a lot better with this than you do with like guessing the number of USPS packages and stuff. 48 trillion. No. All right, last question in music. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young were a supergroup featuring members from what other 60s bands? Name one. Bonus point if you can name all 3.
The Byrds, the Hollies, and Buffalo Springfield?
Beautiful, man. You are killing it. I should have picked harder questions. I assumed you were dumber than
that. I don't know how many points I had there.
You had 4 for that one also. So 4 points. So you're up to 8. You're sweeping it. Okay, here we go. They get a little tougher. Right.
I'm going to go miscellaneous.
Who is the youngest U.S. president ever?
John F. Kennedy. Oh, no.
Teddy Roosevelt.
That's right. I knew that.
Kennedy was the youngest
elected. God, I knew that.
Well, good. It would have been, you needed to get one wrong for dramatic purposes.
Oh,
That's all right.
all right.
Okay. How many World Series have the Yankees won?
27.
Circle gets a square. I got to stop saying that. I'm going to get sued. All right. Yeah. Point for that one. And final in the miscellaneous category. What animal is the largest ever known to exist?
Ever known to exist?
Yes, the largest animal ever in history.
Brachiosaurus?
Correct answer is the blue whale.
What? Really?
Blue whale. Yeah. No, is huge. Like, I saw, my son is a huge dinosaur guy, and we watch. He loves size comparison videos of like planets and things and dinosaurs, and it is startling how big a blue whale is. It's really something.
Okay.
All right, so you got 1 point in that one.
Oh,
so
man.
That gives you, you still got the TV
9.
category, so that gives you 9 total. TV, here we go, final category. Within 10, under or over, how many episodes are there of The Simpsons?
Within 10.
Under or over, so within 20,
Under
you got
or
a 20
over?
range, I guess.
Let's see, 20, 25 times.
You're doing math. Math podcast is back.
583.
673.
Oh man, I was gonna go like 620. Oh,
I had to like double check it. I was like 673 seems too high, but 673. All right, next question. For 1 week in November 1994, what actor had the top-rated TV show, a New York Times bestseller, and the highest-grossing movie at the box office? 1 week in November 1994.
Tim Allen.
Correct. 1 point. And last question.
Okay.
What TV show's finale holds the honor of being the most watched television program ever, aside from Super Bowls?
MASH.
That is correct. Bonus if you can name the episode.
The one where Joey moves across the street.
I think you're getting MASH confused. Could we? You remember when Chandler says, "Could we be in Vietnam?" Or whatever. I don't know. Could be.
It was the Korean conflict.
Oh,
it was set during
right.
Vietnam, but I mean, it was aired during Vietnam. But
that was Anyway.
All right. So what was my final total? 8 plus 3, 11.
You got 11. 11. That's pretty good, considering
it is
you had
pretty
bonus
good.
Points and stuff in there. All right.
Yes.
11.
All right.
And the winner, by the way, so what we're going to do, the winner gets to give the other some homework. So it could be go see this specific movie, go watch a few episodes of this TV show, go listen to this band or this album or whatever.
All right. I'm going to keep score for you as well.
Okay.
I feel like I know you love trivia, so I tried to be like hard or obscure. Like you have a few that I think you can get. All right. Do you want to go movies, music, TV, miscellaneous? Where you want to go first?
Let's go movies first too.
Movies.
Mm-hmm.
In what city are all John Hughes movies set?
Chicago.
Chicago is the answer.
I mostly only know that because Home Alone is based in Chicago.
Right. Well, Home Alone, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink. They're all set in Chicago.
Cool.
All right. We're just gonna roll through the category.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
Okay. In 1977's Star Wars, how wide was the thermal exhaust port on the Death Star?
Oh my God. Oh, gosh. I have no idea because they're going to use a different type of weird
You've
space
heard this
measurement.
line. No, you've heard this line 100 times. If you can tell
Oh,
me
wait. The size of a womp rat?
womp rat, yes,
Yeah.
it's 2 meters or no bigger than a womp rat.
Okay.
Both are acceptable. So
Okay.
that's
Well, I was
what I
thinking,
was.
like, they're not going to say meters or anything because they don't, it's a different place. Like, they don't even. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, it's no bigger than a womp rat.
Okay.
Okay. And lastly, what was the first sports film to win an Academy Award for Best Picture?
First sports film. Academy Award for Best Picture.
And won Best Picture.
Oof,
I'll go ahead and tell you it is in the last 40 years.
Okay. Oh, man. I know I'm going to kick myself for not remembering when I don't remember. I'm glad you told me 40 years because I was going to say the Pride of the Yankees. But $1 Million Baby?
No. Rocky.
Oh.
Original Rocky in 1976.
Wait, did you say nominated or won?
Won.
It won Best Picture?
Won Best Picture. Won Best Picture.
I remember it winning. I thought it won Best Screenplay. Anyway, okay. I didn't even think about Rocky. I had boxing though.
What's crazy about that is it was the highest grossing film of 1976, but it shockingly beat out Taxi Driver and All the President's Men.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
That is wild. Okay, let's go to TV.
TV. In your beloved Twilight Zone, the phrase submitted for your approval was uttered how many times on screen? And you can guess within 5. Within 5 times. How many times was submitted for your approval?
Okay.
Because I know this is a hard question.
Yeah, I'm going to say 128.
3 is the answer. It was uttered 3 times. All right, bonus point.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Bonus point, true or false? Rod Serling, his on-camera introductions were a part of every season of the show. True or false?
False.
Ding, 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 ding. False. They didn't start till season 2.
That's what I remembered. I watched some season 1 the other day. Cool.
Yep. All right. So I thought that one would be one you could get, and I was like, all right, I got to go with something a little bit harder. Okay, we're going to continue.
I just kind of guessed near the number of episodes they had, and I was like, he probably didn't say it in every episode, but it's so famously associated with the show, I assume they said it a lot. That's crazy.
I got you. All right. This one might be a little tough because I don't know that you watched this.
Okay.
How many seasons of Survivor have there been?
Oh, gosh. Okay, it's absurd. I know that. I'm going to say...
I only ask because they're having a big one right now. I'll give you a hint there.
48.
Oh, 40.
40. Oh, 40. See, I was thinking the big one might be 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So it's been on around 20 years, and they do 2 a year, so 40 episodes. Bonus question.
Yes.
True. Yes or no? Has anyone won Survivor more than once?
Yes.
Yes. You get the bonus question. Yes.
Good. Thankful.
Another bonus question. Can you name that person?
That Richard guy.
No.
Didn't he win the first one?
He did.
Okay.
No, Sandra has won twice.
Okay.
Yeah, not that you care. All right.
Classic Sandra.
So you're sitting at 4. Pretty good so far.
Okay.
Thank you for bonus points. All right.
Yes.
Number 3 in TV.
Okay.
In Treehouse of Horror 5, which 3 people kill groundskeeper Willie with an axe in the back?
Okay.
And if you can name one, you'll get a point, and you get a bonus point if you name all three.
Okay. Flanders. Maggie. And Skinner?
Okay, you almost got it. You got two of them. It's Maggie, Skinner, and Homer kill groundskeeper Willie with an axe in the back. I'm still going to give you 2 bonus points for naming 2 out of the 3. So you're at 6 points.
Okay.
I shouldn't have been so generous. All right, you want miscellaneous or music?
Let's go miscellaneous.
Okay. Most people are familiar with the acting of brothers Chris and Liam Hemsworth, but can you name the third Hemsworth brother?
I don't know if it's actually him, but he's a character in The Good Place, isn't he? No, I mean, like he has one of the characters. I can't remember her name now, but she dates him or something.
Yes,
and he's got like a complex
yes.
about being the ugly Hemsworth brother, but he's gorgeous. Like,
yes, right.
Derek. I don't.
It's not Derek. It's
Luke.
Luke.
Okay. Well, I said Derek because Derek is Jason Mantzoukas' character in in The Good Place. Anyway.
So I'm realizing my stuff is way too hard.
No, it's all good.
Okay. Miscellaneous question. What was George Lucas's original choice for the last name of Indiana Jones?
Oh, God.
I'm just going to go ahead and give you a reference. Remember, his first choice was Darth Wilson for Darth Vader. So it's pretty generic.
Smith.
Yes! Indiana Smith!
Darth Wilson always cracks me up. Indiana Smith is awful, even though Jones is a really basic last name too, but Smith is terrible.
Jones Smith works. Indiana Smith is the worst thing you've ever heard of. Okay. All right. This is extremely random.
Question 3 in miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous.
Okay.
Prevailing wisdom says that real pirates wore eye patches over one eye. Why did they wear eye patches?
Okay. I don't know if this is the reason they used, but this was considered plausible according to Mythbusters, and it was to help with their dark perception when they went under deck. They could move the eye patch over. Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. They kept one eye in the dark, so they went into the dark deck. They could move the eye patch to the other eye, and they could see better because it was already accustomed to the dark.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
Thank you, Mythbusters. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Mythbusters. All right. So you're sitting at 8.
Okay. I can tie you.
You can tie me. Well, I had like a couple of bonuses, so we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Now the music, I leaned into music here a little bit. I tried to do a couple of your favorites. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew this, Jesse, but one of the Beatles is named Paul McCartney.
I've heard of him.
What's Paul's middle name?
Winston?
No, his middle name is Paul. His name is James Paul McCartney.
One of them is Winston. Is it maybe John Winston Lennon? Or I swear I think one of them's middle name's Winston. I might be wrong. Okay. I had no idea. I certainly wouldn't have guessed Paul.
So I literally Googled difficult music trivia because I was like, this guy, like I thought you'd forever. Okay. Let's see. This one, there's a question and a bonus. Question and a bonus, okay? When and where was the band Weezer founded?
When?
If you give me the when, I'll give you a point for the when and a point for the where.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say it was in Connecticut in 1989.
Both wrong. I thought
Oh,
you were a big Weezer fan. I
I
was like,
am, but like I know, but see, I don't like Rivers Cuomo. Their lead singer is from the
I got
Northeast. I want to say he's from Connecticut,
I
or
got you.
but I guess he had moved to L.A. and
Yep.
started.
So they started in L.A. in 1992.
Okay. Well,
So
see, and that's the other thing. Like he had versions of the band. Like he had a version called "60 Wrong Sausages," which was I think
I got
formed
you.
in like the late '80s, like '88,
I
'89.
got you. All right.
Anyway,
So second bonus.
okay.
Can you name the founding members of Weezer?
Um, yeah, I think so. It is Rivers Cuomo.
Mm-hmm.
It is Matt Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
It is Patrick Wilson and
Yes.
Jason Kropp.
That is it. Yes.
Jason Kropp was fired during the recording of their first album, the Blue Album, and was rehired or was hired and replaced by their current guitarist, Brian Bell, who was on the cover of the
Interesting.
album but did not actually play guitar on the album at all.
Okay.
Anyway, so there, I redeemed myself on not knowing where they formed.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Now this one I also put. I don't know. I thought this was hard, and so I put it down for you. But anyway, we'll have to learn we'll get better at this
Yeah.
if we play more games. Many people are familiar with Joan Jett's version of "I Love Rock and Roll," but can you name the British band who originally sang the song?
Oh my God. um.
I told.
Um.
See, I played too hard.
I have no idea. I, Mott the Hoople. I have no idea.
Okay, never mind. See, I've been too hard on you. It
It's all
was
right.
the Arrows.
Yeah, never heard.
I've never heard of them either. I just thought you knew music. So,
I'm not a Joan Jett fan, which I'm a Weezer fan. I got that question wrong. So I'm a Beatles
Okay.
fan. I got that question wrong.
All right, I'm gonna give you a Beatles bonus just so you can get within one of me. Ready?
Okay.
Uh, I was not aware of this. Evidently, the cover of Sergeant Pepper's has a lot of celebrity likenesses on the front.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It has like a lot of there's a big collage basically of different
Okay.
things.
There only one celebrity insisted on hearing the album before allowing their likeness to be used on the cover. Do you know?
God, no idea. Lord, this would have been 67. I don't know.
No, it's Shirley Temple. I'm just gonna give you the.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Peter Fonda.
Okay. All right.
All
I
right.
realize
Well, you won.
I'm way too. No, I feel like I lost.
Well, it's all right. You know what? This works out. This works out well for you because you have good things to suggest for me. So go ahead and hit me. What do I got to watch or read or do for next week?
For next week?
Yeah, I'm gonna report back.
Okay. Well, I didn't anticipate winning, so I did not think about anything on the list, and I don't want to do like TV stuff in mind. I don't want to assign you a whole TV series. So a movie. Dude, I don't know. What's something you want to see? See, I'm terrible at this.
Oh, I have no idea.
I feel.
Let's.
You know what's?
I was gonna say we can give everyone a cliffhanger, and you can text me afterwards. Give it some thought.
Sounds great.
And,
Hey, guess
yeah.
what, everybody? I'm gonna assign something that Jesse has to watch or read or listen to or do.
So here's if you want to, if you feel so badly about your questions being harder than mine, which is all subjective, you know.
No, they were harder.
But I was going to have you watch Lake Mungo that I talked about last week on our quarantine streams, and I was going to have you read about the Hinterkaifeck murders. A famous
in the world.
It's a famous unsolved murder, true crime story, Hinterkaifeck murders. So I will text you that if you feel so inclined. Go watch Lake Mungo within the next week. It's on Prime, and read about the Hinterkaifeck murders. There's like a Wikipedia page on it. It's not like a big ask to read, and it's very interesting.
I'm writing it down. The Hinterkaifeck murders and Lake Mungo, which was already on my list.
There you go.
I was thinking about assigning some like mid to late 90s like Christian rock, just so you could just go experience it. But I don't want to put you through that. I don't know how much you are into. Rate on a scale of 1 to 10, how big a Boss Tones fan were you?
Like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate ska. So.
Okay, then I won't assign you the band that I was thinking.
I have a weird thing against ska. I've heard good ska, and I don't, but overall, it's not. Yeah.
Overall, you're not into ska.
Yeah,
I understand. No. Okay, so, all right. I feel terribly prepared. I feel terrible that I gave you difficult questions.
No, it's an honor that you didn't prepare, because it means you thought I'd win. So I appreciate you assuming.
I 100% thought you were going to win, and I didn't feel the need to do anything.
Yeah.
But
that's all right.
We'll
settle this off air.
We will, and I'll settle my guilty conscience by doing what you asked me to do. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this nonsense and talking a little board games. I hope you are playing board games and having family time, spending time with your families. And thanks for joining us today. As always, subscribe, rate, and review. Find us on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, YouTube, everywhere. Instagram. Check us out. Email us at bowopod@gmail.com. Facebook, Twitter, Insta. Check us out. We're all at bowopod at those locations. Interact with us and spread the word.
Yes. Thanks to the band Amigo out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area for the music throughout the episode. To Wes Forbus for our podcast artwork. And most of all, thank you guys for listening to Best of, Worst of.
Yeah, man.
Man, Jay Slice, that's my new nickname for you. That was a fun episode. I like that. The board games was good.
It was. Everybody loves board games, and I'm pretty sure this is going to go over great with our listeners.
Yeah, I think people are digging these sort of quarantine-themed episodes, So with that in mind, what are we doing next week? What's that going to look like?
Look, I was thinking we got to do something everyone knows a thing or two about during quarantine.
Right. Oh, I'm right there with you. Crippling depression and anxiety
snacks.
About the lack of any apparent return to normalcy. Quarantine snacks. That's what I said.